Ranges, law enforcement instructors, and shooting competitions across the country are dropping the SIG P320 like crazy, and hopefully ducking for cover. Sorry. SIG is firing back with lawsuits against the organizations banning them and just lost another lawsuit themselves. And perhaps even more damning, we now have a leaked risk assessment document that SIG themselves is trying to hide. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. SIG's troubles over the P320 are getting worse to the point that even my bleeding heart liberal DM at D&D night has heard about it. That's saying a lot. Now at the top of this video, I am going to put the same disclaimer here as in my previous video on this topic. My first carry gun was a SIG. My current carry gun is a SIG. I do not have a personal problem with SIG, and I do not personally own a 320. I still hate the government, and reporting on that FBI lab report does not mean that I suddenly had a lobotomy and love the government. Now, whether you believe that there is a genuine problem with some of the 320s and M18s or not, the optics of the company trying to say this is all a big anti-gun conspiracy solely being perpetuated by bad actors is a bad look, when for the most part, it's been everyday gun owners asking questions, and now there's even an investigation into an airman's death. Nor is it a good look to sue the firearm instructors banning the controversial firearm from their ranges to try and force them to continue to use the controversial firearms. So that is my piece on that. But in light of all of these maybe or maybe not uncommanded discharges, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, RMA, the king of armor. RMA was founded by a Marine veteran and produces record-breaking ballistic plates that outperform every competitor in the industry. And now RMA has just launched the new XRT plates. The newest offering in their special rifle threat category is as close to level 4 plates as you can get without the big weight or the big bucks. They are just over 5 pounds a plate, but they do not sacrifice multi-hit, hard-hitting penetrator, and armor-piercing performance. And RMA is launching them at a sale price to make sure everyone can afford lightweight American-made body armor. So to cut weight, cut price, and keep the performance, check them out at my link down in the description. All right, let's try and do a roundup of all of the troubles following the news that a SIG M18 was involved in the death of a young airman at F.E. Warren Air Force Base, allegedly due to an uncommanded discharge while it was holstered on his desk. If you want more information on that story, you can check out my last video on the topic, which I will link here in the cards and the description. First, Gunsite Academy in Paulden, Arizona has announced that it will no longer allow students to use the SIG P320 or any variants in their training courses. Gunsite spans over 3,200 acres and boasts more than 20 ranges across its facility, as well as indoor and outdoor simulators. From what I understand, they are a very well-respected establishment, and now, according to an announcement on their site, they are no longer allowing SIG P320s in any of their classes until they feel any potential safety issues have been resolved. They will allow it only if the pistol is an assigned duty pistol for military or law enforcement, but will still strongly discourage it. They say that other SIG models are still fine to use. So that's number one. Now, following the F.E. Warren incident, the National Law Enforcement Firearms Instructors Association, or NLEFIA, have also banned all 320s, M17s, and M18s from their courses, also citing safety concerns. In a July 28th email sent out to all members, they wrote, "This policy has been implemented in response to significant safety concerns, including multiple reported incidents of unintentional discharges involving holstered P320 pistols." They join a long list of folks that are stepping away from the SIG P320, and that includes the Washington State Criminal Justice Training Commission, the Milwaukee Police Department, the Dallas Police Department, the SEPTA Transit Police in Philadelphia, and a host of other agencies in Alabama, Connecticut, Florida, Texas, Washington, and Wisconsin, and now Massachusetts, in banning use of the pistol, with the United States Air Force Global Strike Command halting use until their investigation is complete. Now, how has SIG responded to this? Well, they are suing Washington's Police Academy, for starters, to try and force them to reverse the ban. They're also asking the judge to stop the Academy's executive director from making any public statements about the P320 whatsoever. Now, the Academy reached this decision on its own when it conducted its own investigation into an alleged uncommanded discharge on one of its ranges with the SIG P320. The Academy formed a task force to look into numerous claims from across the country and decided, nope, we won't allow it, which technically I would think is their right to do. Meanwhile, in the lawsuit, SIG says that the ban is unnecessary, unprecedented, and not well grounded in fact or law, and says the ban is harmful to the company. They also claim that because it will force some cops to use different guns, that the ban is a violation of the Second Amendment and state law as it goes against the right to keep and bear arms. Which is an interesting argument. The executive director's unilateral decision is inconsistent with the state's preemption in the field of firearms regulations under Chapter 9.41 RCW and does not fall within any statutory exception, the complaint argues. Chapter 9.41 RCW fully occupies and preempts the entire field of firearms regulation within the boundaries of the state, including the registration, licensing, possession, purchase, sale, acquisition, transfer, discharge, and transportation of firearms, or any other elements relating to firearms parts thereof. Moreover, the action implicates constitutional rights and at a minimum should be subject to a formal rulemaking. The action has the effect of regulating a field contained in Article 1, Section 24, Right to Bear Arms, of the Washington Constitution. I feel like maybe that is a bit of a stretch. And no matter what you believe about the situation, suing the Washington Police Academy is some pretty terrible PR. And speaking of lawsuits, one filed by a Kentucky man against SIG, who claims his holstered gun shot him in the leg, is pending before the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. In January, that court ruled that a lower court messed up by dismissing his product liability claims and wrongly barred him from using expert witnesses. And, because there's more, SIG just lost its third lawsuit over this thing. A federal jury in a case out of Cambridge found that the P320 was defectively designed and caused a police officer injury when it discharged without his input while on duty. Now, the officer won't be receiving any damages, as the jury also said that he voluntarily and unreasonably used the pistol knowing that it was dangerous and defective, but the Cambridge, Massachusetts police say that they had 4 unintended discharges after the department started using the P320. They too have dropped it as their duty weapon, and the law firm in the case is calling for the pistol to be recalled. And because why not lump another one on, Texas police officer Richard Fernandez has also filed a new lawsuit after reporting that his P320 went off by itself and shot him on January 20th. According to the suit, the gun was secured in his holster. There's also, of course, that now famous video by Wyoming Gun Project that showed the gun going off on a desk and 5 times in a row without the trigger being pulled fully to the rear and with a few wiggles of the slide. Actually, the amount of wiggle that the slide could do in and of itself was a little concerning. Through all of this, SIG made yet another announcement on their website dated July 29th with what they say is full, complete, and accurate information. Then they repeat the same talking points as previous announcements, which I read for you in the last video. Safest, most advanced, most tested pistol, blah, 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 can't fire without a trigger pull, etc., etc. And then they say that the FBI report was bunk and that they did another subsequent test that has yet to be publicized, but that one they say had 0 failures, and they are asking the FBI to make a statement to that point. Until any of that information is released, we have no idea if that's true or more PR. At this point, the FBI hasn't said anything beyond that original report. SIG also claims that, despite the recent leaked memo from DHS halting ICE's use of the P320, DHS has never had any safety concerns and that ICE has extended their existing contract. They're urging DHS to make a public statement correcting or retracting that leaked memo. So far we have 2 counts of them saying, oh, no, none of this is true. Government, please come and set the record straight. And crickets. As for the airman death, they say that the investigation is only a cautionary step, which, sure, fine, and that no one in the military has halted the use of that pistol despite the announcement that Air Force Command was pausing use of that pistol. They wrap up the statement saying that in regards to all of the training organizations and ranges banning the P320, they're working to provide these groups with accurate information, which, apparently includes suing them. They say that the bans are reactionary decisions with no factual basis and ask anyone who knows of a range ban to call or text them so they can gather and correct that misinformation. And here, my friends, is what might be the icing on the cake. Despite all of this, a writer over at practicalshootinginsights.com found some of the litigation documents going through all of these lawsuits on Court Listener, and one in particular that SIG objected to in SIG v. Bagnell. Now, Bagnell is an attorney actively involved in litigation against SIG regarding the P320, and SIG is countersuing him for trademark infringement. So this particular document that SIG tried to get struck from the record is called MHS Pistol Failure Modes, Effects, and Critical Analysis. It is heavily redacted, but the columns marked risk assessment matrix level are still visible. They note risks categorized as high, medium, and serious. SIG claimed the document violated a protective order from another court, saying that the document was part of another case and supposed to be confidential. Now here is where it gets good, because it turns out that whoever filed this document was sloppy, because the redactions weren't actually real redactions. It was more like black text on a black background, which means that you can still read the text. Now, I will link that document down in the description for folks, but what it appears to me is that the part about an accidental discharge due to the gun being dropped, bumped, or due to a vibration is listed as a high risk. This particular possibility is marked with the letter C, which, according to the key, means it is an occasional and catastrophic probability, more specifically, likely to occur sometimes in the life of an item. Now, I don't know if that is a typical kind of risk categorization or risk level for other firearms, if this is a typical kind of document or risk assessment, and I know that the text on your screen right now is very small. But I do want you to look all the way to the right. This is the part about discharges from bumps, drops, and vibrations. Look to the final line in that paragraph where it says, quote, "However, failed customer drop testing notified February 1st. This document, dated February 16th, 2017, appears to be an acknowledgement from SIG from February 1st of that year that the SIG P320 and its variants were not drop safe. And yet, they did not offer the voluntary upgrade until August 2017, days after a lawsuit was filed claiming a cop was shot after his SIG fell. 6 months later. In light of their statements that it's basically the safest gun ever and that they have always put customer safety first, take that as you will. It's also interesting how up in arms SIG is over this document and how it was supposed to be redacted, kept confidential, and that since Practical Shooting Insights published it, the company has filed several affidavits to try and scrub the document from public record. The affidavits ask to seal the document and all related testimony. The company states that the document reveals company secrets that would be highly prejudicial if they were exposed and could even impact national security. Though also they are apparently not very good at redacting and cleaning up documents. It's a little sloppy. And I feel like the national security thing is also a bit of a stretch. We shall see how it all plays out. The plot continues to thicken here, and I will continue to wade through it all so that you don't have to. But that is it for this video in the continuation of the SIG saga and the hole that they just keep digging and digging and digging. So I will bring you any updates as I find them. You guys know the drill for all of the algorithm things. Please do them. And as a quick note, for those of you who are attending the Goals event in Knoxville this coming weekend, besides my panel that I will be doing on Sunday, I will also be doing a little meet and greet at the Ammo Squared booth on Saturday at 11 a.m. So if you're in the area, come check it out. As always, guys, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe out there and happy shooting.